Emma?
I have a question for both candidates. First of all, rough endoplasmic reticulum. I don't recall you mentioning anything about the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and working with it. I know you work with me, so why didn't you mention anything about us working together? Also, Golgi apparatus. You say that 95% of the time Alzheimer's is caused by environmental factors. What are the factors, and what about the other 5%?
Well, I mentioned environmental and lifestyle factors, and a major one of those that scientists are studying now is the relationship between high blood pressure on the brain, and that if you have really bad high blood pressure and it continues to get worse as you progress in age, it will increase your chances of getting Alzheimer's, but scientists are still studying that. And also, Alzheimer's can also occur genetically because of a transcription error in the 23rd chromosome when the DNA is not sequenced correctly.
To answer your question, I did not see much about the interaction between the smooth and rough ER in my research. I did know that you provide the overall cell membrane for lipids for the cell membrane and other membranes besides the mitochondria. And you are connected to me in some cases.
What about transporting some of your protein?
You do that also. But it was mainly focused toward how I interact with Golgi body in my research.
Haley?
I have a question for religious press. I'm not saying that the cell membrane does not need you, but in your statement that the cell membrane could not stand without you, why do you say that?
I didn't say that it could not stand, I said it would be very weak because the rough endoplasmic reticulum and we work together to, like I said, synthesize, package, sort, and redistribute macromolecules. And the major two that we do are proteins and lipids. And your bilayer, as you know, is made of phospholipids. So without me sending those back into you, your membrane would be very weak.
Lindsay?
I have a question for both candidates. What makes you better than your opponent?
You want to go first?
I wouldn't say I'm better than any opponent. There are people that are better for this position than I am, but I do want to say that I help make the proteins that are essential for daily life and most functions.
And I would not say that I'm better than the rough endoplasmic reticulum because we work as a two-part system. So without one another, our function would be pretty much useless.
Leonie.
You say you help the proteins, but where do you talk about me?
I can read the line if you like. The ribosomes attached to the membrane make a large portion of the proteins, and the new polypeptides are inserted in the lumen. Yes. I did mention that as well in there, in the beginning.
Hannah?
Okay, my question is directed towards both of you guys. Out of all the organelles, what makes you two think that you have the best qualities or jobs that will be a good leader for everyone else?
Did we just answer that question with Lindsay?
I don't think it was.
The previous question was, what makes you better than your opponent?
Yeah, and now that's what will make you a good leader. And make you think you are better than
Because I can work together with the other organelles in order to make what they need.
And the same with me, like I mentioned in my conclusion, I help various organelles throughout like completely different parts of the cell. So I feel like I am the most rounded and helpful organelle that there is since I help so many people complete their function.
Kevin?
Golgi, do you, what happens if you fail and is it catastrophic to the cell?
Well, the main thing that happens if I fail is like what I said in my speech. I will end up breaking down, and because I broke down, all of the macromolecules won't be able to be packaged and sorted and redistributed, and that can in turn cause near fatal or fatal disease, Alzheimer's. But I'm only responsible for 5% of people who get that, compared to 95% of environmental and lifestyle.
My question's for the rough ER. You said that there are other people more fit for this position, and if you said that, then why should we vote for you?
Well, there are always people above you, and in cases, the nucleus can be a great case for this one because they're essentially the center of most production and everything that goes on in the cell.
So you are also running Nucleus's campaign as well?
Alright, I work with them as well.
Okay.
Kelly?
Okay, so I think it was about 2 questions ago, you mentioned, I'm sorry, this is directed at school chapter X. You mentioned that, you are very essential to all of the organelles. However, I don't believe that you are essential to me, but however, in the case that you do fail, all the other organelles might not be able to perform their functions properly. So if you do fail, how would you compensate for that?
Well, I never said all of the organelles. I said a variety of organelles throughout different places in the cell. And if I failed, I believe that they would still function because, like in the cell membrane, it's made up of a phospholipid bilayer. And while I wouldn't be able to give the lipids back to her, the cell membrane would still be there, but it would be very weak.
So essentially the cell would get weaker without you?
I believe so, yes. Any good ones?
Catherine.
This is for going to the body. You mentioned that you break down, and you mentioned the 5%, but how often? Do you know how often that actually happens?
Well, if you think about it, 95 to 5, if you had 100 people, 95 of the people, it would be due to other outside factors, and then I would be the 5 people that was due to an internal cause.
Haley.
So, I guess this kind of relates to Catherine and Kevin's previous question. So the Golgi apparatus, you said the percentage that you only are responsible for 5% of people that get Alzheimer's, but do you know the percentage for how often that you fail without giving people Alzheimer's and you cause destruction in the cell itself?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
You said that you break down a lot, but you know the actual percentage of when you break down and just cause disruption without actually giving Alzheimer's? And is that much higher than when you actually cause Alzheimer's?
When I break down, that's when I cause Alzheimer's. So
But can you break down without causing Alzheimer's also and just cause disruption in the cell?
I probably could, but the likelihood that I would be able to regain myself, because Alzheimer's, when I accidentally fall apart for that, that's like detrimental. But when I'm made break apart for a time besides Alzheimer's, I feel like I would be able to regain myself. One more? Okay. Michael.
This is direct.
Not him, he's got enough.
Oh, so does Kat.
Yeah, those are the
No,
ones.
actually, you've got more than she does.
I do?
Yeah, thank
Who
you.
has the most?
Whoa.
Okay. Okay, Kat.
Okay, so referencing back to Lindsay's question when she said what makes you better than each other, you didn't really answer that and you kind of just said that I'm not better than anyone else. But at the same time, you also said that we work together, so wouldn't a vote for you be voting for both of you, so we can't get one without the other?
In both of our campaigns, we have each other as vice presidents. So either way, we would vote for it.
And like I also mentioned in a previous statement, we are a 2-part system for the cell, so we are directly linked to each other.
Thank you.